Hey, everybody, welcome back. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties, but somebody who doesn't have a difficulty at all is this guy right here, Tyler Henry, a fantastic, fantastic broadcaster person, and we had to boot things back up to get him on. Tyler, thanks so much for the time. This is round 2 in the Bird's Eye View postgame show.
Yes, it is. And coming off of a slightly different tone of this game. Hey, I told you there'd be fireworks in game 2, did I not?
You did. In the Bird's Eye View postgame show after game 1, you said just going to be fireworks. There was 3 of them exactly. Rob Emery, Shea Whitcomb, Josh Zamora, 3 deep flies. I know the Rob Emery home run was a bit of controversy on the Harwich side, huh?
Yeah, and really, I mean, from our angle, we couldn't really see 100% what exactly happened. We know the ball ended up back on the field of play after the ball was hit, and I didn't hear anything resembling metal bleachers out there, but always a tough call to make as an umpire. They conferenced, and I will say a little bit of a tough day from the officiating crew overall, but that's one call that I personally agreed with. I think that ball did end up getting out, and they give a home run. Ultimately, it comes away as a 5-run win for the Orleans Firebirds, so 1 home run doesn't make that big of a difference, but just one of those days for Harwich, at least in the second game, in terms of just very, very, very frustrating way to lose a ball game, and hopefully that doesn't translate into tomorrow's game with Katuitt.
And you have to think the frustration was much greater just because that was the back half of the 6-run inning. You know, you got to think that has a bit of pieces into it as well, and the fact that the Firebirds were hitting the ball, and that one was so far, and Eldridge Park is such a big dimension, so it really was hard to see. But how about the Firebirds just in general? I mean, they come back after getting no hit in game 1, score 8 runs, get a big-time win here at Eldridge.
Yeah, I mean, they saved up all the offense for the second game. Apparently, they just kind of went with it. They were like, hey, we're just going to hold off on scoring in the first game, and then we'll come back and drop 8 in the second. So, yeah, I mean, another day where they come through. And again, 1 through 9, it's a very productive day for the offense, but still kind of inconsistent. And that's my biggest thing with this Orleans team. No one really knows which Firebird squad you're going to see. Are you going to see the team that comes in and gets no hit, or are you going to see the team that comes in and drops 8 runs? And that's part of what led to the 5-run winning / 5-game losing streak for you guys earlier this year. So, I mean, who knows what team we'll see come playoff time, but that does make them very scary because if you get the right Firebirds team enough days in a row, that's a team that can make some serious noise in the postseason if they make it, which they're on pace to do.
I really couldn't agree more. It's, as you said, it's a team that has shown they can be very scary, and they can be the best team on the Cape when they are the best team on the Cape, as simple as that. For Harwich's side, I mean, it was a really good day. I mean, despite a couple home runs in Game 2, the pitching staff looked great. The offense was solid today. They got the 2 runs that they needed in Game 1. They got 3 runs in Game 2. They had the 2-run lead heading into the 3rd inning. What positive takeaways can you take from Game 2 for Harwich?
I think it's got to be the guys, Chris Galland and Chris Lanzilli, 2 guys that came into this game without a single home run, and both of them come out with 1. And we know these are guys that can put some power numbers up, more so Lanzilli than Galland. Galland's more of a contact hitter. But for Chris Lanzilli, man, he has been so close so many times. And the game where he finally broke through was when Harwich put up an 11 spot on Katuitt. That game then gets washed out and doesn't count. So he loses all those numbers, stumbles a little bit, but he's putting it together, and I feel like the home run today was a big boost for him. He had another hitter in addition to that. So really just seeing all these guys, again, late in the year, guys like Dylan Noisy, Chris Lanzilli, putting it together. This Harwich team could be very dangerous because they've had the pitching all year long, but now the offense is starting to click alongside it. And oh boy, we've seen some really, really good games to some of the top teams in the East.
I really do love that about the Eastern Division. It's anybody's division when you break it down. But right now, it's time for you to go home. You've had a long day here. He's got to make his way back to Harwich. Tyler Henry, thank you so much for the time, man. Really do appreciate it. You're going to go swap out with Alec Cannon, the good old switcheroo. Thank you so much, Tyler. I'll see you around, bud. All right, buddy. Hey, that's Tyler Henry, broadcaster for the Harwich Mariners. He's fantastic. And it was really just so cool to hear from the Harwich side. And now we're going to hear from the Orleans Firebirds side. Oh, you look way too happy to be. I'm just kidding.
I just made a great catch.
You did? Okay, not a
Me
baby.
and Zins are playing a little over-the-screen catch. We were having fun.
We're having fun. Well, I hope we can have some fun here. Jamie Quinn is going to come on, and if he does come on while you're still here, we're going to do a 1-2 switcheroo if that sounds good with you.
I love switcheroos. Let's make it happen, man.
We're going to make it happen, but for now, we're going to talk some Orleans baseball because 8-3 win in Game 2, that was fun to see. From the writer's perspective, I know you just talked with a number of guys on the team. What can you take away?
Well, it was just a big win. Obviously, you lose the first game. It was quote-unquote a game at home. You don't get any hits. You don't score any runs. It's just not fun. You want to wash that one away as soon as possible. 6-run inning, that'll do a good job to do that.
That'll be something.
three home runs. It was really impressive offensive showing for the Firebirds. Talking to some of the hitters, they mentioned they saw 3 lefties tonight, and they all were kind of similar. Low 90s, good breaking balls, and you only see that for so long, and you realize, okay, let's make an adjustment, and they made an obvious adjustment. Josh Zamora, big home run. Shea Whitcomb, big home run. Rob Emery, a little opposite field power. That was impressive. But to me, the play that I thought stood out most in Game 2, and I talked to him earlier, and you talked to him earlier, Max Troiani made a tremendous diving play with 2 outs and 2 runners on in I believe, the top of the 3rd inning. It saved the Firebirds a couple runs, and it just brought momentum in the dugout. Right. And what happens, Eddie McCabe leads off with a base hit, and then they just get rolling from there, and they take the lead that they don't relinquish the rest of the way. Bullpen was solid. Overall, pretty good doubleheader. You'll take a split, and then against a good team, a team that's chasing you, and you want to make sure they're as far away as possible in the standings.
Hey, a couple of notes in those standings. Chatham lost to YD 5-0, and Brewster, they beat Falmouth 3-0. So the Brewster Whitecaps, that's the most notable game, and the one you have to watch is the Brewster Whitecaps. They're in last place right now, and the Harwich Mariners are still in fourth, now 2.5 games behind the Orleans Firebirds. The Firebirds still in third place, but that 3-0 win against Falmouth, that's big time for Brewster. But let's stay on the Firebirds here because it was fun to watch today, and you just mentioned the fact that Troyani got that fantastic diving grab, and then Eddie McCabe comes back, works a great count, and finds his way on base to start off the bottom of the third. That at-bat seemed to me one of the biggest at-bats of the game today.
Absolutely. Even in the first game, he was one of the 2 guys that reached base on a walk. He was really grinding out at-bats, scored 2 important runs, but you got to start somewhere. And with a leadoff base hit, me and Bryce were talking about it. Our producer, he does a tremendous job, Bryce Johnson. He was talking about how you just need to get runners on base to lead off innings. Leadoff runners tend to score more than just guys getting on with 1 or 2 outs. So it was big to build the inning early, and then Josh Lamora comes out of the 9-hole and just absolutely launches one over the left field wall. And it's important to see guys who don't get a ton of at-bats be able to contribute early and just tie up the game, and then the offense went rolling from there. And it was just impressive to see across the board, Scotty.
Speaking of impressive offense, we've got our guy Jamie Quinn, who's going to make his way over here when he can. We're ready for you whenever. Oh yeah, we're going to do the 1-2 switcheroo. Alec Hendon, team writer, thanks so much for the time as always.
I love being on the Birds Broadcast Network. This is awesome.
You're on the Birds Broadcast Network, Bird's Eye View postgame show. We're rolling. This is the whole. It's the one-man operation here. We got Bryce Johnson, our fantastic producer. He's running the camera up top. We've got this guy. Hey, 8 runs in game 2 after getting no hit in game 1. That must be just awesome to see from a coach's standpoint.
Well, yeah. I mean, you get no hit. I mean, that's not fun. But it's all about the bounce. I mean, the hardest thing to do in baseball is to sweep a doubleheader. So we took our lumps in game 1, got no hit. Guys had better, more competitive at bats in game 2. We're swinging at better pitches, had better pitch selection and recognition, and we got a couple barrels on some balls for some homers, so that kind of helped.
I know for a lot of times when baseball games, it's kind of just everybody keeps to themselves, but was there a message you sent to the team or anybody after game 1 at all going into game 2?
Not really. It's very much like professional baseball up here. We have another game. We have 16 games in 12 days to end the year. It's just another game. Hey, let's flush it. Let's move on. Got to get on the field work, and we have a whole new day 40 minutes after game 1 ended. So that's kind of like, there was no message, we don't bring it in or anything. It's just, hey, new day, flip the switch and let's go.
You guys definitely did flip the switch. I mean, 3 home runs in the 3rd inning alone. How cool is that for you to see 3 home runs in 1 inning?
It was good. It was good to see guys having some good at-bats, seeing their early work paying off and barreling some balls off. And that makes my job a little easier down there. I don't have to feel like I need to put things on because we were very flat with the bats in game 1 to get things going. Guys just, barreled up some good pitches, some fastballs and some fastball counts, and they were ready for it. And some of those balls went a far away, so we'll take it.
I was joking with Shea Whitcomb and the fact that he made his way around all 4 bases in about 9 seconds. The guy was burning his way around there. Josh Zamora took his time, and Rob Emery was just kind of right in the middle just because of the fact that it was kind of controversial. He had to stop at second. Right. But I'm wondering for you as a third base coach, who'd you have the best high-five connection with as they were rounding third base?
High-five connection. It's usually Emery. I put my fist out there, and he hammers the fist like a hammer. So it's usually him. He hits me a little hard, but I'll take the lumps as long as we get a W,
Hey, in the last inning when Troyani got that single through the 5-5 hole, it scored 2. You were working Eddie McCabe to get home. Is there a way that you kind of plan that out and try to get them to go faster or anything like that?
Not really get them to go faster. We just try to get them to have a good lead at second without 2 outs. You're in scoring position. We don't want you to get picked, but you need to have a good enough secondary where if it's a 50-50 call that I can send you. And I always tell the guys, just give me effort. When they're coming to me, give me effort. If they're not giving the effort, then it makes my job even difficult to send or to hold. But that ball was a grass dirt ball. It was a grass read, excuse me. And those are about 95% safe. So any time we have that read on a ball, it could be Eddie, or a slower player, and we're going to take the risk and the chance with 2 outs, we're sending them.
Hey, if you could pick one thing tonight in terms of the most memorable thing from today's game, what would it be?
Not really, nothing memorable, man. I think that it's part of the game. We got it there's a game every day. It's a new day tomorrow. So when we wake up, we have the flush tonight. Nothing too memorable. I think that the guys had better at bats, and what we started talking in the dugout in the 6th or 7th inning of game 1 is hey, let's get momentum. Let's go momentum. Not for necessarily game 1, but get momentum to split a doubleheader and get going in game 2.
Really was a monsoon-like offense today, and you guys kind of waited about the first 8 or 9 innings, and then you just absolutely exploded for 8 runs in the last 4 or 5 innings of the day. What was the message from Coach post-game?
Where dinner is. Basically, that's about it. Where dinner is, clinic guys. Just good job. You know, like we said, the hardest thing to do in baseball is split a doubleheader. So when you do get to sweep a doubleheader, it's very rewarding. And when you're on the other side of it, when game 2 comes around, you know, you really need to get that split. So,
Coach Koo, you have fun today?
we had some fun today. Yeah, anytime in Orleans, we have fun.
Hey, I had fun too. Thanks so much
All
for
right,
the time.
Scotty G, pleasure, man. Anytime.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. Hey, that's going to wrap up the end of the Bird's Eye View post-game show. Appreciate Jamie Quinn just coming in here, Alec Hendon, Tyler Henry, Shea Whitcomb, Josh Zamora, who's over there, Max Troiani, everybody that made this broadcast, this fun broadcast. For me, I'm Scotty Gange. We're signing off here on the name of Bryce Johnson, our producer, our 2 broadcasters, Thomas Cinzerella and Josh White, and everybody in the Birds Broadcast Network. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow because, yes, there is a game tomorrow here at Eldridge Park. Close it. Bryce. Yeah, I know. We're still running.